I grew up in an evangelical home, kind of centered around dominion theology of sorts, and we were called to influence and show up and be the light in dark spaces. So as the oldest daughter of four, I definitely took that on, and I found myself worship leading and being a youth leader and stepping into all the positions that I possibly could as a Christian leader. The space that I grew up in definitely taught that you needed a husband in order to have a calling. You needed to submit to the men around you, the leadership around you. I didn't experience that from my immediate family members so much, but that shows how pervasive that culture was. Even without that teaching coming straight from my parents, I really took that on and felt like I needed to find myself married and fulfill, a calling that complemented the man in my life. I felt like a man gave me my worth in the eyes of everybody else around me and in the eyes of God, and that's what mattered to me. So whether I agreed with it or not, I needed to comply if I wanted to be taken seriously in that world. The culture was so full of shame. If you didn't follow the exact rules, the exact morals that they assigned, if you chose to speak out against something that made you feel uncomfortable, there was shame surrounding that because, you're touch not thine anointed. You're not supposed to talk about the skeletons in other people's closets. And I think ultimately shame was used to control. It was one of the key tools that they used. When someone says the word feminist, for me, I hear that somebody is advocating for equality for all, that somebody is saying women should be able to be who they are, how they want to be, just as much as any other person. And it's not about women should have to go out and get this job and they're not allowed to be mothers anymore, or some of those other common arguments that are made. It's about giving women the choice to decide what they want to do and how they want to do it, just like so many other people already have access to. I think escaping from religion and feminism has a lot of intersectionality because one of the key components of evangelicalism that I grew up in is patriarchy. It is this need for a hierarchy where you have God at the top, then you have the husband, then you have the wife, and then the children. And in order to confront that sort of control and power, you have to examine what your views are when it comes to how women are treated, how children are treated, anybody basically other than a man. When people are triggered by something I say, when they are in disagreement with an argument I've made, oftentimes my identity as a woman is what they choose to attack and comment on. Whether I have makeup on, whether I don't have makeup on, how my hair is, what I was wearing when I made the argument. And instead of engaging in the topic at hand, they engage in misogyny. This misogyny is something I have experienced across all cultures, across all demographics. You don't have to be a theist. You can be anyone. You can be in the atheist community and still be holding on to some of these misogynistic ideas and beliefs. For me, the questions started early on. I always had questions. As a child, I was trying to figure out, how can there be eternity? Why do we have to worship for all of it? That sounds exhausting. There was little things here and there that didn't make sense. Why couldn't Jesus just have a conversation with Satan? Satan can apologize and they can make up. I had all these silly things. And then I would stuff them because if I were to ask these questions, I was quickly shamed for it. I wasn't allowed to ask questions. I was told that God's ways are higher than mine and that I shouldn't question. However, as an adult during the 2016 election, I watched the leaders that had taught me morals, that had taught me the standards that I followed, worship one of the most disgusting characters I had ever learned about, and then elect him as president and throw literal worship services celebrating his election. And so in that moment, I realized I needed to question this religion that was accepting of this. I needed to question the leaders around me, and that ultimately led me to questioning whether what I believed was true at all, much less whether it was harmful to the people around me. Questioning my faith was one of the scariest things I had ever experienced, because it felt like if I were to really go all the way to the end with it, if I were to ask the question of, is there a God? Is Jesus a God? Is this thing that I've believed my entire life true or not? It felt like I knew what that answer was going to be, and that I knew I was going to essentially be pulling the rug out from under myself. I didn't know what was going to happen. I had built my entire life on this belief. A lot of people approached me with this impending fear of hell, even if they've deconstructed. I think for many people, they're terrified of two things: of either being wrong and questioning God and ultimately being punished for it, or just being wrong, or they're terrified of losing community, which can feel just as scary if you don't have a support system, if you don't have family that's going to be there for you, if you're not going to have a job at the end of your questioning. Those are all things that keep people from asking the things that they need to in order to confront whether their beliefs are worth holding anymore. I think my personality cannot play it safe. I want to believe things that are true. I don't want to be duped. I want to participate in things that aren't going to harm others. I want to participate in ending harm that is caused to others. And I thought that's what I had in my faith. And when I realized it wasn't, I had to continue forward, because honesty and truth and these values that I had my whole life, those are ultimately what I had to cling to above and beyond my faith. I don't miss religion at all. Anything good that religion offered me, I have since found outside of religion, and significantly better, without the bigotry, without the fear. I have found unconditional support and love from community and family and friends. I have found activism to be something that gives me passion and meaning in my life. I don't have to have it dictated by this 2,000-something-year-old religion anymore. Confronting my beliefs and then realizing that I didn't have good reason to hold on to them anymore was my ticket to freedom. And I don't mean that in a hedonistic, now I just get to do whatever I want. I got to actually go out and live life and have access to the tools and skills I need to fulfill my own dreams and my own passions. Being an activist is one of the main ones, and it gives me fulfillment every single day to also hopefully offer this hope to others and give them a chance to live life on their own terms, and to choose to be an amazing person, or to choose to be an advocate for other people, to choose to confront political ideologies or other religious ideologies, because it's something that they're passionate about, not because somebody else or something else is dictating that.